So the question on everyone's lips is, if we've got this amazing vaccine, why isn't it that it's reducing the cases with this Delta variant? And the answer is obvious. Obviously, it doesn't work. So then they come and say, well, you know what? It's reduced hospitalizations. So then I come back and say, yeah, but we see in Israel and the UK there are identical amount of hospitalizations of unvaxxed to vax, meaning if 80% of the population has been vaccinated, 80% of the population hospitalized has been vaccinated. If 90% has been vaccinated, then 90% hospitalized. The only country where this doesn't come out is the USA. Let's give you the USA figures. So today, shocking, I think it was number 4 on the BBC website, the US life expectancy, contrary to any other country in the world, by the way, every other country in the world, life expectancy is identical. 2020 to 2019, or the 5-year average, it's pretty much the same, right? There's no very, very little difference, maybe a few months. But you know, if there's the world's biggest catastrophe ever, biggest pandemic, you'd expect a huge difference. Anyway, the only big difference is in America, where it went from the pathetic 78 in Europe to about 8 in Britain to about 82, in other Western European countries even older. America 78 because they're all fat and on drugs. So 78, it went down to 76. Oh my gosh, 2 years, can you believe that? And they go, this is due to the 600,000 lives lost in the COVID pandemic. The only problem is the average age of COVID deaths is 80. So if everyone would have died from COVID, the average life expectancy would have actually gone up. That's how ridiculous the statement they're bringing is. It's a stupid statement. What's the reality? What brought it down? It's the opioid addiction deaths rose from 70,000 to 100,000, the highest on record ever in 2020, and that's because of obviously lockdown and people just shooting up, got nothing else to do, getting stimmy checks. Everyone said stimmy checks, giving money to poor people, and that increased the deaths of under 50s, and I'm going to be crazy. It's clearly under 40s, right? So that reduces the average age hugely, because when you're going, average age 78 and it's 40, it's going to be a massive difference. So that's pulling that down. And it's actually even quoted in that BBC article that it said opioid deaths had been exponential, highest increase ever, highest amount ever. You've killed all your young, you crazy people. Why? To supposedly save old people, but they're mainly average age over 80. So if all of them would have died anyway, you would have had a higher life expectancy than is normal. That is how ridiculous this whole thing is. Let's go crazy now. As I said to you before, if we had a proper phase 3 trial, which takes 2 years, we would have already seen that the vaccine is absolutely useless. It's gone from 95% effective to 64% in the latest Bloomberg study. But if we go to the Daily Telegraph, it's only 10% effective according to the Delta variant. Clearly, as we see from the stats, it's useless. It's like water. It doesn't do anything to Delta. It's like 1964's flu vaccine now. What's the point? Forget 1964, 2018's flu vaccine now. It's useless. That's basically what the vaccine is. And after 2 years, we'd have seen it. But don't worry, in Israel, our man in charge, Bennett, who's getting his bribes from Pfizer, and the old man in charge, Benjamin Netanyahu, who definitely got hundreds of millions stacked away from Pfizer, they've recommended a third shot. It doesn't do anything. We've just seen the second shot did nothing. They recommend a third shot. Adding stupidity to absolute stupidity. That's where we are. So we've got a third shot being recommended. Got mandatory vaccines now in France. They don't care. 100,000 people rioting. They burnt down a few test centers. We don't care. We're on our place. We're on the way to world, just absolute tyranny. It's world tyranny. It's global tyranny. You cannot travel anywhere. Think about where we were last year. Last summer, COVID was over, apparently. All the borders were open. There was no testing. No testing when you went abroad. What testing? You didn't have to pay for testing. If they did testing, it was free by the government. You didn't pay for it. There was one test at the airport, if that. Everyone went abroad in the summer. It was a bit harder, but okay. Nowadays, someone wants to go abroad, it's $200 minimum. One test there, 2 days before when you hit the airport, maybe 2 days after. $200 minimum to a flight for testing when over 80% of Western populations have been vaccinated. This was meant to save us from any tests or anything. This was meant to save us. This was meant to be, we're reopening. We're now nearly 2 years in, and we're about to go in, and you can quote me on this. In September, we will be in lockdown. Watch me. In September, read these mails, we will be in lockdown everywhere. The UK, Israel, Europe. America, maybe because they got some good governors, like in Florida, DeSantis, but it doesn't matter. What was the recommendation in America? Do not fly to Florida. We will not accept anyone who flies to Florida. This is where we are, guys. It's pure tyranny. There is no way out of it. And that's it. I don't know, it just gets worse.